So everybody was saying this was actually worth watching. I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. I typically don't watch like a react video and then like talk about it, but with this, I heard it was a good video and I heard Asmon had some really good points, so we're gonna go ahead and check it out.
That everybody is getting fired. Many people have realized this at this point, that everybody is getting fired, nobody's getting hired, and people are getting replaced with AI and robotics. Have you guys noticed that?
I got laid off today.
Ooh.
After 10 years.
I told you guys I was let go today after 20 years.
I keep getting job offers that are extremely lowered wages due to them knowing people are desperate.
Ooh.
I got laid off in May. It is now the end of October.
Wow.
Look at all these open tabs. The job hunt right now, you guys. If you got a job, just keep it. Okay?
Amazon recently announced their largest corporate layoff, cutting.
I think that there's a lot of people in these PR, marketing, and fake jobs at these companies, and the companies are starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, we don't need to pay this girl to come here and drink boba tea for 8 hours and then complain that somebody said something that made her mad. And they just fire her. Yeah.
I mean, I think some of it, obviously I think some of it's that, but I do think a lot of it is AI and optimization right now. I think AI and optimization, and I think a lot of companies are getting out over their skis. They're just cutting and cutting and cutting and just going to force work down, like further down the pipeline. We've all seen it if you've ever worked at a company.
14,000 employees, with executives hoping to eliminate 600,000 workers by 2033.
More than that.
When Amazon, the U.S.'s second largest employer, starts laying off employees, it gives cover to other CEOs.
Of course.
Dude, his take right there was so cringy. Which part? Voice act, a lot about AI influencing your job. It's about AI being good enough. Well, yeah, AI doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough to justify making the change. Firing the complainers. I mean, I definitely, a lot of the stuff he says, especially when he says it like that, is just for memes.
Of course.
UPS announced 48,000 layoffs.
48,000? You know what's going to be funny? Is that if they can, it'll be 480,000. Because soon the UPS will be completely automated with like machines that will take the different like little packages that you get and they will deliver them to your door themselves.
Yeah, I agree with him. We were talking about this before earlier about how just automation and AI is going to continue to take more and more jobs. Anything that can be done without a human will be done without a human because it will increase the company's margins. And that's all companies care about is their stockholders. They don't care about their employees at all.
100%. Offering its employees voluntary
100%.
exit packages.
Yep.
Chegg announced it was cutting 45% of its workforce. Target cut roughly 18.
Well, I mean, Chegg, obviously, because people don't have the, I mean, that was a book reselling place, and people don't use books anymore. Nobody knows how to read.
99% of jobs don't need humans. I mean, it's getting to that point, right?
100 employees.
It's all digital.
GM cut roughly 1,700 employees.
Of course.
Meta, Rivian, Ford, the list
Absolutely.
goes on. And this is just for the month of October. It doesn't even cover the layoffs we've been experiencing throughout the year. But there's one
Sure.
layoff I want to highlight. Paramount. If you watched my previous video, I mentioned how David Ellison, son of tech billionaire Larry Ellison, had purchased Paramount, further
Good for
growing
him.
his media
Okay.
empire. Despite this open letter David sent to Paramount employees after taking over the company, claiming, "You are the heart of this company."
That's a lie. That is an absolute lie. No company ever believes that.
Well, a person needs a heart, but a company doesn't.
Paramount
Fair. It's a fair take.
cut 1,000 employees, with that number expected to be 2,000 in coming weeks.
If companies like Google and Amazon and Meta are making billions, why are they laying people off?
Oh, that's easy.
Because they're
Yeah, hearts can be replaced, dude. They do it all the time, right? It's already at the point we just don't have the bots to replace them. Absolutely.
not contributing to the product and they're not valuable. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Greed. These billionaires don't care about us. They only care about showing growth to Wall Street every 3 months.
Yeah, why would they why would they keep somebody on the payroll that they can fire? Of course.
Remember when property
I mean, it makes sense though. Why pay somebody? Like, companies aren't welfare states. Their job is not to employ you so you aren't poor. That is not the job of a company. A company's job is to make money for its shareholders.
developer Tim Gurner said that
Yeah, that's what
unemployment
it
needed
is.
to rise 40-50% to put us workers back in our place.
That's right.
Humans are obsolete 100%.
He just said it.
And we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40-50% in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer.
That's right. We got to put them in their place.
Dude, that is a crazy take to hear like a big CEO just say in open air.
The other way around. There's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them.
We got to shut this down immediately.
The dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to.
Here's what happened. Elon Musk took over Twitter, fired 80% of the staff, and nothing changed to the product.
Dude, we won't see any pushback until AI starts replacing C-suite levels, then it'll be too late. But even C-suite levels, like they've got money, but they're not the rich people. They're not the rich people that actually, make decisions, right?
In fact, I think the products got better. Every single other business owner in the world saw that.
It's crazy.
Everybody saw that. And after that, it's bot crazy now. YouTube is bot crazy too, but YouTube didn't fire 80% of its staff. So is Facebook. Facebook didn't fire 80% of its staff. It's still riddled with bots. Bots are everywhere on the internet.
Dude, the dead internet theory is a thing. It's just what it is.
Twitch, not Twitch. There's bots there too. But Twitter is not unique.
That's funny.
What isn't discussed enough is the shadow layoff system. More companies are hiring part-time and contract workers as a means to cut costs. This means for the workers, no retirement plans, no healthcare benefits, and no severance package. The WARN Act doesn't require corporations in every state to report part-time or contract workers as part of their layoffs. This is why
even AI applicants to jobs, lol.
The layoff numbers might seem low, but if we account for all employment type, we've actually seen 13.8 million layoffs from January to August of this.
That's a big number. That is a big number.
So 13 million people have been laid off in America?
That's crazy. That's a high number.
Isn't that probably 5% of the workforce? That's insane. How many people are in the U.S. workforce? 10%. Oh my God.
Dude, that's 10% of the workforce. That's absolutely insane. Does he remind anybody of Tom Green? A little bit.
Year. Laying off contractors or conducting performance-based exits doesn't make headlines, but accounts for up to 30% of this year's job losses.
10% of the workforce is an insane number. Absolutely insane number when you stop and think about it.
Amazon claims that they're laying off employees in an effort to operate like the world's largest startup. They claim they need to increase their efficiency. Yet in
startups are terrible to work for. I don't know if any of you guys have ever worked for a startup, but startups, small businesses that are trying to get off the ground, these are some of the worst companies in the world to work for. These companies are typically understaffed. They have multiple people wearing multiple hats, working around the clock to try to get the company off of the ground. They're normally experiencing explosive growth. They don't have enough people on staff to deal with this type of growth, nor do they have enough people on staff that have enough industry knowledge to deal with what is happening. Yeah, and being a unicorn in a startup sucks. Yeah, it is an absolute terrible experience. The only benefit to being part of a startup like that is typically you get an equitable share, you get an equitable stake in that company. And normally it's a pretty substantial stake because the company is so small. That is not going to happen to these employees at Amazon. Amazon has basically just said, we are going to run you into the ground like dogs, and we're going to work you like slaves, and you're not going to get any of the major benefits. The stockholders are. That's exactly what that says to me. Any company that pushes the word family is lying to you, 100%. Any company that's oh, we're like one big family, blah, 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 they're full of shit.
2024, they generated $638 billion.
Well, that's not a good way to look at it. I don't agree with this way of looking at it. Do you want to make $640 billion? Or do you want to make $650 billion? Every single person, when it comes to their money, will want the company that they are invested into making $650 billion. The problem is that everybody is always very generous with other people's money, but whenever it comes to their own stocks, their own holdings, and their own ownership, well, suddenly now it's okay to cut costs.
Absolutely. I agree with him 100%. It's very easy to be like altruistic when it's not you that's getting hurt. And that is like a very true point. And it's very easy to look at this in an abstract and say you should do X, Y, or Z, but the companies don't care. And if it was your money, you wouldn't be just saying give it away.
The reality is that these decisions are made in order to maximize shareholder value. And
Absolutely.
they are done in the best interest of those shareholders. A company should not exist for the purpose of providing welfare to the state or to the public. That is not a company's job. A company's job is to function as a problem-solving device, right? It solves some sort of problem, it performs some task, it does something. It's a company's primary function is not to employ people, it's to provide a service.
Well, it's not even to take that further. It's not to provide a service for free. If it was just to provide a service and its job was to provide the service for free, it'd be called a charity. But these aren't charities. They're businesses. They're companies. They have found a need. They are filling the need, and their goal is to do it and make a profit. I think you even need to take that a step further. The whole goal is to make money. But in order to make money, the byproduct of that is typically doing something, right? Because if you could just make money without doing something, companies would do that.
Seems they're operating at pretty high efficiency. While most headlines are focused on...
Yeah, but wouldn't you want more efficiency? Yeah, wouldn't you want more? Wouldn't you want them to be better?
AI, Amazon has been building an army of robots.
That's
a
right.
leaked internal document shows executives hoping they can eliminate 600,000 roles by using robots.
That's right.
Which is why VC is a thing. It still makes shareholders money, even if the company gets ran into the ground. Yep, exactly.
Right.
And they know
Thank God. Thank God. People that work in Amazon fulfillment centers, that's probably the least fulfilling job that you could ever have. It sucks dick. You probably get injuries. You're overworked. I mean, didn't they have a bunch of people working in one of those factories that were told that they had to stay inside, and then they ended up being killed by a tornado?
Well, and you've had Amazon workers like have to stay on the line, have to pee in bottles, have to wear diapers. Like, these companies only care about their profits. Yeah, working in like an Amazon fulfillment center is not going to be the best job for you if Amazon has its way, right?
I mean, these are terrible jobs. Nobody grows up and says, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to take the box from the conveyor belt and put it in the truck. Nobody wants to grow up and be that person.
She says the army was easier. I guarantee it.
People take these jobs because they have to, not because they want to.
The Amazon episode from South Park says enough. Yup.
how bad this sounds. That's why also in the document, they discussed replacing words like automation, AI, and robot with the term advanced technology. But here's the dystopian reality. Back in June, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy addressed all the employees about AI and automation. We have strong conviction that AI agents will change how we work. There will be billions of these agents. We will need fewer people.
Billions must lose their job.
Doing some of the jobs that are being done today.
That's right.
The key word here is will. He's not saying AI agents are currently good enough to replace human workers. He's saying they will.
Well, they are to an extent, right? I mean, like to an extent they are. And automation and technology is going to replace workers everywhere. It's going to happen in a lot of different perspectives, not just in one way. It's going to happen overall.
And I mean, like, as it happens, it's going to allow things to accelerate, right? So the AI isn't good enough to replace 100 jobs, but it's good enough to replace 10 jobs. And those 10 jobs now free the company up to have more money. And it can take that money and reinvest it into more automation, to more AI, to more informatics and things like this, which will accelerate how fast they can replace more employees, because they can see the exponential growth for the amount of money they're putting in there. Amazon's not hard physically. Mentally, it's a whole other subject, especially depending on your role and position. That's what I've heard. And then on top of that, just like the culture there of getting things done, getting it done quickly, being on the clock, like maximizing how fast you're doing things can be really, really tough.
You're completely correct, because I work at UPS part-time for health insurance. I unload boxes off trucks. Yeah, of course. Some people enjoy doing easy labor just to not use their brain. I guarantee you, if you gave that person the same amount of money and you told them you don't have to go to work, I bet they'd stop showing up.
Absolutely. Or if you told that person you'll give them the exact same amount of money, but you can do whatever job you want, they would say, yeah, I'm done. I'm done putting the boxes in the truck. I agree with that 100%. They're not gaining fulfillment out of it. If you could pay, there are certain jobs where if you walked up to somebody and said, I will pay you the exact same amount of money and you can just stop doing your job. There are certain jobs and certain people that would be like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. I make enough money. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. If I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would be doing. Or I would still be doing it for free. I mean, think about streamers. That's a prime example. I know a few people that still do something similar just on their own terms. Oh, absolutely. It wasn't that bad. People immediately cried out slavery and all that, but it wasn't that bad. You just work. So do you think it's just do you think some of it is overblown, just like whiny bitches? You think a lot of it's entitlement? I think that is probably true to a degree, right? I think there's a lot of entitlement right now. Floating around. People are just told they should be able to do or say whatever they want, and that you just have to respect it and deal with it. And if I want to just stop doing what I'm doing, then that's what I'm going to do. So I could see that.
Will be maybe in the future.
Probably in 2025, we at Meta, as well as the other companies that are basically working on this, are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that you have at your company.
That's
that
pretty
can write
good.
code. And then over time, we'll get to the point where a lot of the code in our apps, and including the AI that we generate, is actually going to be built by AI engineers instead of people engineers.
Again, the key words here, I think.
And he said by 2025, and we're seeing a bunch of people being laid off at the end of 2025, right?
Probably these are just hopes. They're laying off real human workers today, despite recognizing that AI cannot do a mid-level engineer's job.
Well, exactly. That's why they're not laying off the mid-level engineers, but they are laying off the entry-level engineers. And so, like, right now, AI can't do, like, basically, they're trying to plot a trajectory for where their business is going to be. But at this current point in time, it is undeniable that AI can do some people's jobs.
Absolutely.
So right now, it's doing some people's jobs, and later on, it's going to be doing everybody's jobs, or more people's jobs.
Absolutely, for sure. I agree, 100%.
They're hoping one day it can. They're redirecting the money they used to pay real human workers into AI investments. They're betting on a future that hasn't even arrived yet. They could afford both employees and AI, but instead they're laying off workers right before the holidays after record profits while the CEOs get richer from the very act of firing them.
I'm not seeing the problem. Like, I'm seeing the human problem. I'm seeing the real problem, right? Like, I see where this is a problem for real life humans. And I'm seeing where this is directly impacting these people that are being laid off. And I think that sucks, and it sucks for them, and it's sad. But the problem is, this is going to happen in business because it's always happened in business. And if they don't need your job anymore, their job is not to just give you a job just so you have money. And that sucks. But that's just the reality of the situation. These companies are going to do what's in the best interest of their company, not their employees. And I don't understand. Actually, I do. Let me go back and say this. I think that some of this is the responsibility. I don't even want to say responsibility. I was going to say I don't understand why people think companies have their best interest in mind. But I do understand why people think that. And that's because companies have said it. Companies say it day over day, week over week, like month and years on end. We care about you. We care about the employees. We care about our stakeholders. We care about the company. We care about the environment. We want to do what's best for basically you. And because of that, we want you to do what's best for us. The reality is that is 100% them conditioning you to stay with them. It's lip service to make sure that you just continue to be a part of their group until they no longer need you. Right? So, yeah, I mean, I think the companies have basically taught people this, and now people are like, yeah, I'm really surprised that the company's doing this. I thought they cared about me. They never cared about you. And unfortunately, if you thought that they did, then you've probably never taken a business class.
Because
that's exactly right. Welcome to the fucking show. And if it was your money that you had invested, I guarantee you that the companies that make those decisions would be the most highly invested in companies in the world. Because everybody is always generous with somebody else's money and somebody else's time. Mm-hmm. But when it comes time to make decisions for your 401k, to make decisions for your investments, you are going to want to maximize your revenue. You are going to want to have a good rate of return.
Absolutely.
For these executives, layoffs are a means to cut costs. And
Absolutely.
who costs the most? Senior employees. A perfect example of this that we saw earlier this year was when Microsoft let go of Ron Buckton. Now,
you will say, though, Amazon as a whole doesn't give a fuck about you. Individual management can care about you. Yeah, but the downside to that is while individual management can care about you, at the end of the day, even individual management will be fired if it's going to further the company's profits. So while there can be some individuals that care, there can be some managers that care if you're okay and you have enough money to eat. They're unfortunately unable to do things in the larger scope. How many of us have worked for a company where we asked our manager for a raise and our manager dead ass was like, I would love to give you more money, but I literally can't. Like I've done and you know that you believe them because you trust them. And you know that if it was up to them, they would have the company give you more money. But the person above them or the person above that person has just said absolutely not. So what are you going to do? The average person would rather lose 8 quarters on the couch and give them to a homeless guy and then get mad at the company for putting money to a machine and not you. I mean, it's true, though. I agree with them 100%. If my company is one of the largest employers in the world, I'm also investing in AI to replace as much of the workforce as I can. Absolutely. You absolutely do it. Anybody that says they wouldn't, I think, is just delusional.
if you're not a developer, you may not know who he is. But Ron spent 18 years at Microsoft. 10 of those years was spent working on TypeScript. TypeScript is used by over 5 million developers. I use TypeScript. The majority of the websites that you interact with use TypeScript. And despite Microsoft having over $245 billion in revenue for 2024, they still let Ron go. Was Ron...
Yep, that's right. They fired because they didn't need him.
Suddenly discovered to be a slacker after 18 years of promotions? Or is it that executives looked at a spreadsheet, saw his senior level salary, and decided that number was too big?
That one. I know the question was rhetorical, but yeah, that one. That was exactly it. You got it. You figured out exactly what happened. They said, we don't want to pay this much money for this anymore. We're not going to pay this much money for this anymore. Like, that's exactly what happened there.
I do think that, to be fair, I'm in general in favor of AI and this what I think is kind of like a technological revolution. But I do think that they're overshooting right now. I think they're probably you shouldn't be firing people like that this early.
So for some of you guys that don't know, AI should be banned in the workplaces. I'm sorry. Well, for some of you that don't know, maybe you don't watch a lot of Asmon's content. Asmon is actually a big fan of AI and adding AI to the workplace. And his stance is basically, if your job can be done by a computer, a robot, or AI, then it should 100% be done by it. It's not a company's job to give you a job, right? They don't need to sacrifice profits to give you a job. But the flip side of that is Asmon understands that because of that, a certain amount of employees will be displaced and no amount of reskilling or upskilling will get them a job. Right. It will not, there's just not a place in the workforce for you anymore. And because of that, you should just get paid to exist because there's just nothing else for you. and that companies should be taxed more based on the profits that they're making. It shouldn't be like a 1-for-1 replacement, but because they're making extra profits, they should contribute more back to society because of what they're doing and displacing workers. And then that money should be filtered back in to people. That way they can afford to live. That is his stance on it. So if you're not somebody that watches a lot of Asmon's content, you wouldn't know that. But that's sort of his stance on the whole situation. I like the idea of AI doing whatever work AI can. However, the issue is with us being a populous country as we are. Absolutely. There are huge problems to this. There's not a good solution other than like UBI, right? I don't believe AI being used for more productivity because it takes away from the human brain and makes people more lazy. I understand that. Night Owl. I absolutely understand it. I understand what you're saying. And I understand it from like a philosophical point of view and from like a humanitarian point of view. But unfortunately, business doesn't care about either of those things. And business will not like bend to that type of thinking because it never has. So you're kind of at an impasse. Because I understand what you're saying in principle, but I think that business doesn't care. Once more, so I guess I see why they use AI. It makes sense. Like, I understand the human cost of it and the human toll. And that's why there's like a really weird impasse. And that's why right now, like, fighting against AI is pretty tough. Like, fighting against AI and fighting against automation, you're fighting a losing battle. So, like, instead of fighting that losing battle, I think that the battle you should pick is, well, what's going to happen to these people after it happens? And then that's the battle you should fight, because that is the one that we still have time to win on, right? Because AI, robotics, all of these things, like, it's going to be the new industrial revolution. You're not going to stop it as much as you want to, or as much as you want to prevent, like, the human cost. There's no possible way you can stop it. It's going to happen. So now the question is, what can we do to mitigate as much bad as we can from it happening? And I think the sooner that you or I or everybody accept the fact that it's going to happen, we can start planning for the future of what happens to everybody that got hurt from it. Like, we talk about a lot of things on this channel. One thing I know a lot about is business, right? Like, I actually know quite a bit about business. So yeah, and it really hurts sometimes to look at things and go, yeah, they really don't care about humans, because yeah, they really don't, and it sucks. If only getting new jobs in 2025 was as easy as I just don't want to do this now, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? If AI takes all jobs in the majority, it will cause chaos when humans are pushed to the side. That's why you need to prep for it now, because it's not going to take all of them, but it's going to take enough of them that it will cause a burden on the system, and we need to know how to deal with it now. Even if AI was banned in a country, production would just move to other countries. Well, that is like the counterpoint, right? Is even if you stopped it here in the US, if every other country is doing it, then you're going to be competing against people who are doing it, right? Think about what happened when we signed like NAFTA and all of these other things. We signed all these free trade agreements and NAFTA and all these different things in like the 90s and 2000s. And what it did was it opened our country up to cheaper goods, but it also made us compete with all these countries. And after that happened, wages went down, all these negative side effects happened, even though we got some positives. And that's what you're looking at, right? Elon said it itself. I don't like how advanced AI is getting, but if I stop, someone else will get the funds. Absolutely, right? Like, he doesn't want to do it, but if he doesn't do it, somebody else is going to do it. So why not make money?
I mean, maybe there's like a unique reason why, but I do think they're probably overshooting and probably firing too many people too quickly. But I think that the inevitability of this is not to be denied.
And at the same time, they're laying off
I agree
senior
with Asmon
workers.
there.
They're also eliminating junior positions. Between January and October of 2024, the unemployment rate for recent college graduates was 15.3% in their first year after graduation.
Wow. That's really high. That's a really high unemployment average for recent college grads.
This shows recent graduates are staying unemployed for longer, and they're applying to roles outside of their degrees just to land
that way the interest from their student loans can go up. That's
in
good.
First position. And it's not
great.
looking any better in other countries.
There are many graduates now that are coming out of universities, which means that there are more people that are graduating necessarily for the jobs that are there. I saw a rather shocking statistic in the UK earlier this week that was talking about the fact that last year there were 1.2 million graduates for 17,000 jobs.
Tells you everything you need to know. We were all taught growing up that you need to grow up, you need to go to college. And then every generation after us has been taught the same thing. You need to grow up and you need to go to college. You need to get these degrees. And if you can't get a job with your degree, well, you just need to get a second degree. And then you need to get an advanced degree. And then you need to get a second advanced degree. And then what ends up happening is you have people that could not afford these degrees saddled with like hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. And they're being told to put the fries in the bag because it's the only job that they can find. And now those same kids are not going to be told to put the fries in the bag because fucking Flippy is going to take the job. So you're going to have 2 advanced degrees, a bachelor's, and you're not going to be able to find a job in your current field or any other field. And you're not going to be able to take a low or a no skill job because all of those are going to be replaced with AI and robotics. So now what the fuck do you do? When we were growing up, going to college wasn't guaranteed. Graduating wasn't guaranteed. Yeah. Well, right now you can chat GPT your way through any college, right? Now going to college is just another entitlement. So everyone's getting a trophy. Nobody does it. Yeah. Remember that video about Tolkien? Yeah. It gives new light to college grads desperately trying to teach anything they can for a job. Yup. Exactly.
Which starts to give you the idea of just how...
Then why the fuck do we keep importing people?
...competitive that market has become. And on top of that, with AI, many of those graduate jobs are changing or are more difficult for people to get into.
Yeah, they're raising the barrier to entry to a higher level of intelligence. See, there are some jobs that if you have an IQ of 81, you're not going to be able to do this job. Like, I don't care. Oh, well, what if we train them? No, you're just not going to be able to do the job.
Right. Like, no matter what, no matter how much you train some people, like, they're just stupid fucking people. Right? Like, nobody likes to hear that there are stupid fucking people in this world. And people especially don't like to hear it when they find out that they're the stupid fucking person. But it just happens. And no matter what you do and how much you train them, they're not going to be able to do it, right? A person with like an 81 IQ or a fucking 65 IQ is just never going to be a neurosurgeon. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter how hard they try. They spawned in with the wrong stat distribution. It's not going to happen.
You can't train a dog to use a typewriter. You can't train a person to do some jobs. The more
sometimes you got to burst their bubble.
This technology gets better, the higher that threshold will be. And you're going to have dumb people, less creative people, less critically thinking people, lower IQ people be completely removed from the job ecosystem. That's what's happening. It's happening right now.
Absolutely.
Vercel used its best salesperson.
Like, you think about it like this, right?
There are smart, stupid people that can't do job training. Absolutely. Like, there are just some people that can't do things. It just happens. It's not only stupid people. There are just some people that can't do jobs. And you're going to get pushed out of the marketplace.
There used to be a retard that would sit there with a screwdriver and screw a bolt into a tire and get paid the equivalent of $75 an hour, live in a beautiful house, have every benefit that he wanted, have a family that he supported, 2 cars and a boat, and go on vacations.
Yep. This was basically my grandpa and other Ford automotive workers during the golden age of unions, back when you could just work on the line at Ford and your job was literally to like screw a bolt onto a car and you made like $35 or $45 an hour in the 70s or the 80s. Absolutely true.
And that guy probably didn't even have a high school education. All he did was turn a nut on a bolt. Nowadays, that's done with a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Take us fucking back. Well, I'm telling you, right? Like that's what's going to happen. And so all those people, that's called labor. Yeah, but it's also called a robot does the same thing, and you don't have to pay the fucking guy $75 an hour.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely certain levels of creativity that AI can't do, but if AI can run the truck that pours the blacktop on the road, and AI can run the steamroller that flattens it down, and AI can drive the dump truck to go get the other set of blacktop, and AI can do all of that, but you just need one foreman to oversee to make sure that the project goes the way it's supposed to, all the trucks go wherever they're supposed to, and everything goes off flawlessly. As soon as that can happen, it will happen. And then, in order to pave an entire road, you're only going to need 5 people instead of 500.
And then just tell them to get the hell out. Like, what do you mean? Like, and you would make this decision too. Everybody would make this decision when it comes to their own personal finances.
Yeah. Also, just because a person has skills, talent, or knowledge doesn't mean there's a job in the market that can utilize that person. Absolutely. Like, imagine being like a top 100 like coder in the world. Like, just somebody that's just absolutely good. And then you get a job fucking framing houses. Like, those skills just don't translate. And if you're not somebody that can learn the skills of framing a house, then what does it even matter, right? Like, they're different. And you could say, well, they could revolutionize the market or whatever. You're thinking too abstract. The point here is not every skill translates, and just because people were able to learn one set of skills does not mean that they can learn other sets of skills, right?
Thanks for the follow.
Yo, thank you for the follows. And you can run around the clock without paying overtime. Yep.
That's my point. Everybody would do this themselves.
They absolutely would. Like, everybody would do this.
Yeah. What do we do about it? Well, you have to tax companies that are using automation in a way that, you can redistribute the money into the population, right? I mean, that's what you have to do.
And that's what I said earlier when I was explaining, like, Asmon's sort of take on AI, because some people just don't know. Like, yeah, there are things you have to do. Like, the companies make extra money for sure, but you have to have the government take care of its people, because companies won't take care of the people. So the company makes additional money. They pay part of that additional money in taxes, and then those taxes go to the government, and then the government's job is to take care of its people.
But, like, it's not going to happen. I think we're going to have to bring back somehow, like, slavery or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe feudalism. It's one or the other. Maybe.
Yeah, just like a lord that takes care of all of his serfs.
Maybe both. Or you could have a plague.
A plague? Plague will work.
And to train an AI agent,
a plague will take care of
the
it.
Company to reduce a 10-person team's work down to just one person managing the AI agent.
Remember what I said? This is exactly what I've said every single time. It's not replacing all 10 people. It's replacing 9 of them and giving the one person who's the best at the job the ability to do the job of all 10 people.
Yep.
As a developer, I also see this. A lot of companies are now using AI agents to do the smaller JIRA tickets that usually a junior developer would do. But this means that they're effectively eliminating junior positions, while at the same time we have fewer senior employees because their salaries make them layoff targets.
Yes.
More seniors and retirees are returning to the workforce because they can't afford the cost of living on their retirement funds or their Social Security.
Yeah, there's a lot of old boomers. Like, everybody jokes about how boomers, grew up in the greatest economy ever, but some people, even whenever they have an aimbot, they end up losing a match. So
dude, that is like the best analogy ever. We're gonna have to keep that. City states with UBI, absolutely. Judge Dredd shit, it's coming.
There are boomers that don't have a lot of money saved up, and because of that, they end up being broke, and then they have to go back to work.
Absolutely.
In fact, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, people aged 50 and older are the fastest growing group of those experiencing homelessness.
Honestly, that's so sad. That's actually so disgraceful. As the richest country in the world, the fact this is the case, this is a complete disgrace.
With that number expected to double by 2030.
I know like this is just going to be an abstract thing nobody's really going to care about, but like earlier when we were talking about like government or like companies not caring. And like when Asmon talks about stuff, he says like so fact of the matter that it can be very easy as like somebody who doesn't consume a lot of his content to just assume that he's like just some heartless bastard. But he's honestly doesn't seem like he is. And when he says things like this, it makes you see that he just says things in a very fact of the matter way, just because it's the way it is. It doesn't mean he doesn't care, right? Like, we're the richest country in the world. We shouldn't have a homeless problem. Like, why do we have a homeless problem? We have a homeless problem because our government elects to have a homeless problem. We make enough money and our country has enough money that there's no reason it should happen. There's no reason kids should go without food. There's no reason vets should ever be homeless. There's like no reason for a lot of this. Now, if you fuck up your life, you have to deal with the repercussions of it. But there are still ways we can take care of it. We just elect not to.
Said triple. She said triple, not double.
This is my tent.
Yeah.
There's my kitchen.
Oh my God. She living out there in the woods.
Yes. I am out in the woods.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But here's a little secret.
What's the secret?
I got plenty of privacy.
Because despite paying
That's crazy.
into Social Security with every paycheck, that money isn't being saved for you. It's being used to pay for current retirees, and it's also not keeping up with the cost of living.
No, it's not even
The
close.
average monthly payment for retirees is $2,002. I'm not currently in the U.S., but even here in Stockholm, that wouldn't cover my rent. But regardless, the U.S. government is considering...
She chose the bear. She did choose the bear, Thebe. She chose the bear. If you know, you know.
increasing the retirement age to 69.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to do it too. They're going to do it.
It'll be higher than 69 when I retire. I imagine there won't even be a retirement age. By the time I'm ready to retire, there will not be a retirement age that you can hit. You will just have an age where you're able to get some supplemental income, and that supplemental income will offset the fact that your body is in such bad shape that you cannot work a 40-hour work week. You will still be required to work. You might be working 20, 30 hours, but you will still be required to work whatever you can. And then the money that you get will just be to offset the fact that you can't go to work. Unless AI takes over and then we end up with UBI. But just talking in the current trajectory, that is actually what I see happening.
By many workers claiming that employers are deeming them too experienced, a nice way for these companies to say that they don't want to hire you after 40. And actually, Workday, that
What in the motherfuck does too experienced mean?
horrible job application software, they're being sued with applicants alleging the company's AI disqualified them.
Basically, Leon, doing 20 hours with retirement. See, it's already happening. Half the U.S. has to work to pay for insulin. That's true, too.
Because they were over 40.
So I made a post about over a month ago talking about how I was laid off at 50, being at the peak of my career, and thousands of you.
It's like, what is this? Like that movie whenever you reach like 100 or like a certain age to just instantly kill you? It's like, all right, happy birthday, you're dead. You're fired.
Saying you're going through the same thing. They say you're too overqualified. Again, you're not going to be happy here. I even had someone make a comment saying that they went to Trader Joe's to try to get a job and they were denied because they are overqualified.
It's 2025 and the new reality is that people in their mid-50s, late 50s are the new unemployables. It's almost impossible to land another job at your current level. You can almost kiss it goodbye.
Oh, you're never going to land one at your current level. No, absolutely not. No. You got laid off at your job because you were too fucking expensive. And it's not your fault you're too expensive. You're actually getting paid probably what you're worth or even less than what you're worth. But the problem is they can hire somebody or replace you with somebody at a half or a quarter of your current wages, and they're going to do that. So then when it comes time to get a job in another company, they're not going to hire you at the same level. And they're definitely not going to do it at the same pay because all the other companies are doing the same thing. So at best, you're going to get a entry-level job making way less than you probably should because you're competing with all the recent college grads, all the people that are unemployed, all the people that got laid off from AI. You're fucked. That's why they do internal hirings. Absolutely. All the applications online for jobs are just because they have to post them. They're ghost jobs. None of those jobs exist. They just have to post it online. They're either one, collecting resumes for when they do decide to hire, or two, They're giving the job to fucking Ralph internally, but they have to post it online before they give it to Ralph.
They can say ageism is illegal all they want. They can make believe that it's kumbaya and we love everybody and we're all equal. And no, it doesn't.
Bro, it's not ageism. I'm tired of like isms. It's not ageism. It's just common sense. It has nothing to do with your age. It doesn't matter if you're fucking 30, 40, 50, 100. They don't give a fuck how old you are. All they care is they can hire somebody to do it for less. If they could hire a 60-year-old to do it for less, with all of the knowledge and everything, they would have hired the 60-year-old. Problem is, 60-year-old can't afford to do it for less. The 20-year-old or the 30-year-old can. So that's why they hire them. It's not ageism. It's not ageism.
It doesn't work like that.
If that's the case, how exactly are we supposed to work until we're 70 if these companies stop hiring people around the age of 40? And more graduates...
You're going to be turned into a battery so you can power a robot that washes a rich person's shoes.
You have an ism? Yeah.
Graduates are now switching to trade jobs.
In a sense, that is ageism anyway. Ageism is costism, yeah. Like, it's not on purpose ageism, but it's still the result is the same. I mean, I can see what you're saying, City, as like it indirectly affects the older portion of the population. I think that it's definitely more costism, if you want to like put an ism on it. But I see your point. It's just the indirect, like the people that are getting hurt disproportionately are going to be older employees because they cannot afford to not make that kind of money.
Meaning that blue-collar workers are now competing against white-collar workers for the same handful of trade jobs.
Yep.
We've seen at least 180,000 government employees let go, and now we see senior FANG employees re-entering the job market after layoffs.
I'm a recent college grad looking for a job, and today I learned that not only are we competing with all of the people last year who couldn't get jobs, we are also competing with people who are currently working in entry-level jobs and looking to switch companies because their companies aren't promoting them because the market is so bad. A recruiter I just got off the phone with told me that I'm going up against someone who has 2 years of postgraduate full-time work experience. And
this same thing happened, like if you're around my age, you know this same thing happened whenever we were like all 21 to like 24. Because like back then, that's whenever the recession happened after 2008. And it was almost impossible to get a job back then. Like you were competing against people that had 5 or 10 years of experience. And it was like, okay, well, how am I ever going to get a job when every job has like 4 applicants and you know, you need to have experience to get experience, but you don't have any experience, so you can't get any experience. And you can't get any experience because you don't have any experience. It's like the unemployment catch-22 that keeps people like her and any other young person that's graduating college in this like limbo. And what happens is that now they have their student loan debt that's compounding and building on top of itself. So the amount of money that they had that they're supposed to be offsetting, it's kind of like, I mean, just the way that interest works, right? Is that it becomes worse and worse and worse the bigger it is, right? The bigger it is, the bigger it gets. The smaller it is, the less quickly it becomes larger, right? Like basically, right? Because just the way that the interest works. And so now they're basically having like this, you know, like a 5% bonus being put on top of their entire loan because they can't make any of their money back. Yeah, it's gatekeeping. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then on top of that, when it finally comes time for them to be offered a job, it's the only job offer they've got in 6 months, a year, 2 years, and it's considerably less than they want. It's considerably less than they need, but they know if they don't take it, they're not going to have any money whatsoever. And then they end up being pressured into taking a job that they shouldn't probably take or that doesn't pay them enough because they have to stem the bleeding at some point.
Wait, doesn't this collapse the consumer market itself? Well, no, because you're going to have rich people that have all the money.
I just don't know how I'm supposed to compete with that.
So let me get this straight. We have retirees, new graduates, blue collar and white collar, government employees, senior FANG employees, all fighting over a dwindling number of jobs. And at the same time that everyone's trying to find a job, inflation is out of control. The cost of living the past 5 years just keeps increasing.
I want to see if anybody else is experiencing this. So last year, my homeowner's insurance for the year was $3,018. Year before that, it was $2,600. Year before that, $2,200. Year before that.
So it went up
at $2,100. I've owned this house for.
So it went up by like. It went up by 50%.
Yeah, it went up by 50%.
4 years. This year, my homeowner's insurance is over $6,000. No claims in the last 4 years. I've never had a claim against the house I'm living in now. But my insurance doubled. Homeowner's insurance doubled year over year with no claims.
Yet wages.
So since he's owned the house, his insurance has went up by 5x, right? He started, no, it went up by not 5x, but it went up by quite a bit, right? He started at 2,000, now it's at 6,000 in 5 years. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a crazy number.
This is why people like socialism. This is why people want communism. This is why people want revolutions. This is why people become extremist, is that they have something like that happen to them. They are enjoying an almost comfortable life, and then they have all of the life squeezed out of that and then redistributed to these companies that are basically extorting them for money, robbing them for money.
Yeah, and they're sitting there and they're getting frustrated because they don't understand why it's going up. They're paying ever-increasing amounts of money for the exact same thing or less, and the companies are reporting record profit over record profit over record profit, and there's nothing they can do about it. So then these people become more extreme, and that's exactly to Asmon's point. It's 100%. If you don't pay for homeowner's insurance, the bank will foreclose on the loan. Yup. Anyone's gotten a house in my area in the last 5 years has sold it or moved into apartments. Don't blame them. That's why you're not looking for housing. Yep. We cannot even get homeowners insurance in Florida. Holy shit. It's crazy.
And I think this is also, it's happening all the way down the line. It is. It's happening to everybody.
Keeping up with the cost of living, despite us seeing both Apple and Microsoft hit a $4 trillion valuation.
That's
and meanwhile, our representatives are telling us that inflation is only 3%, yet they're not explaining the bigger picture. Inflation may be 3% this year, but what was it last year and the year before? They're not adding on all the prior years, because the reality is inflation rarely decreases. And in fact, it benefits the governments to have inflation.
Well, you have fractional reserve banking. You have inflation.
This is crazy.
Really, I mean, money. It's always going to just keep going up. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of how much.
It means they owe less
Just how
debt.
it is.
And about that inflation, a lot of it is artificially created. Tyson and other corporations conspired to create an artificial pork shortage so that they could increase the prices of pork from 2009 to 2018. When they were caught, they paid just $85 million. That's
by limiting the supply. So there's a $20 billion market, and they had to pay $85 million to settle the lawsuit.
I would do that every day of the week. $20 billion, and I only had to pay $85 million. Easy decision. Super easy. Easiest decision of my life. Every day of the week. I pay you $85 million to make $20 million. 100% would do it. I would do it every year. I would do it every year if I could.
That's nothing compared to the $20 billion pork industry.
That's crazy.
In earnings calls, the CEO has bragged about passing on inflation to consumers. Keep in mind, the same CEO that was caught creating artificial inflation.
Like many other companies, we were faced with a range of...
His name is Donnie King.
It's even crazier. You start looking into the bills that led to all of this. Some of it was some like sneaky shit. I guarantee it.
Donnie, all right.
Higher levels of inflation. Our teams have worked together with our customers to pass along that inflation through price increases.
Dude, it's the American dream right there. If I could give you $1 to have you give me 100, I would do it right now. And that's not even close. That's not even close, right?
We will remain disciplined and agile in our pricing initiatives to ensure that any additional inflationary pressures are passed along to customers.
We'd like to think that we have relationships with customers that allow us to be able to take to them inflation that we see in the marketplace and be able to pass that on ultimately to the consumer.
This is what
they just said, if we're going to eat shit, you're going to eat shit. That's it.
I think they said if we're going to get fed shit, we're going to feed it to you and you're going to eat the shit. Basically what just happened there was, oh, we're going to inflation's going to hurt us. No, it's not going to hurt us. We're going to pass it on to the customers. The customers are going to be the ones that feel it because we have a relationship with them. That is what just happened there.
Genuinely terrifies me as unemployment keeps rising and millions of us are fighting over fewer jobs, all while the economy is horrible. We're handing unprecedented power to these corporations.
Well, here's what's happening is that as robotics, technology, AI, automation, and other forms of technology in general, as it advances, what it's going to do is it's going to create it's going to erode the inside of the, let's look at like in terms of it, like three different like sections of people, right? The bottom 10%, the middle 80%, and the top 10%. The top 10% will have an unprecedented in history amount of wealth consolidation that would make the COVID recession recovery look like a joke.
I'm thinking to move to the Poop Village. It looks better the further we get into this. Yeah, when Rusty, when she told me to watch it today, she was like, this was a pretty hard video to watch just because of what's actually happening. And yeah, I can see that.
It's going to make the 1930s look like a joke. It's going to make ancient Rome look like a joke. That's happening right now. It's happening. It's not going to happen. It's happening at this very moment, okay? That's the top 10%. The 80% of people will then be basically reallocated into the lifestyle that the bottom 10% of people currently live in. And you are going to have a larger separation of people that are very wealthy, that have the means of production, that have the resources, that have the control, and that control will multiply in value and power. And the people without it will also divide in power and value. So they will have less and less and less, and it like literally just like fractions of it, right? And they eat the rich. Well, that will never work.
Well, and then on top of that, what'll happen is the people at the top will be able to consolidate all that wealth and all of that power to control and drive all of the narratives moving forward. And then what they will do is they will get the people under them fighting about things that do not directly affect their lives and social issues. And then everybody under the super rich will be divided fighting about social issues and living and dying on hills that realistically have very little to any impact in their day-to-day life. And they will be so divided that they don't pay attention to what's happening at the top. And then the top will continue to be able to do this over and over again, right? Welcome to the New World Order. Pretty much, hell. Pretty much. The bad part is some people don't see it happening, and I don't see how. All of these social issues that everybody fights over are a smokescreen to try to hide the real issues. And the worst part is that a lot of these social issues, people take them and make them a core part of their identity and then turn it into identity politics. And then because of that, when you talk about it, you're not talking about the issue. You're fighting about something that person has internalized to be a part of who they are, and they take it personal and they're willing to fight and die for it. It's been happening for 30 years. Yep. And it's just getting worse because they were able to use so many bad things happened. That the financial crisis, 9/11 happened, the fucking housing bubble burst, COVID happened. These situations are happening every 5 to 10 years. And what it's allowing to happen is if you have money, you get to make a ton of money off of these, right? The wars in Iraq, if you had stock in any of the defense companies, you made a ton of money. If you had stock in any of the construction companies, you made a ton of money, right? If you were your average worker, you were just spending more money. And then the housing bubble collapsed. And then your average ma and pa had their 401k wiped out, but everybody else was able to absorb the losses and then buy a ton of stock and equity after everything happened. The dot-com bubble bursting. And then you had COVID, and COVID was a giant redistribution of wealth. If you had a ton of money when all the stocks collapsed, you were able to buy a ton of stock, and then it rebounded and went ever higher. It's just been one giant redistribution of wealth nonstop, and people have not noticed it because they're too busy fighting about dumb fucking identity politics issues. Yep. Like I'm not even like really even looking at it as like a left versus right, you know, red versus blue issue. I'm just looking at it as a rich versus poor. Right? I'm literally just looking at it as rich people versus poor people because that transcends everything. All the rest of it is just something you identify with so you can get mad about it.
You'll never overcome them. The reason why is they'll just pay half of you to kill the other half. That's it. It'll never happen. Yeah,
let me fix my camera. But yeah, it's like it's so bad because the left hand's just not watching the right hand. It's common man versus common man is in the middle. You aren't getting benefits from either side. Yeah,
never gonna happen. They'll just that's it. And there's nothing you can do. Sad reality. Yeah, I'm just being honest. Right? It will never happen.
There isn't blue versus red anymore. Both led to like the order that we're in, just different paths so they can trap everyone no matter which path you follow. Yep. Things will get wild if class war kicks off. No, it won't. It won't get wild because it's who controls the military. Because at the end of the day, who controls the army? Whoever controls the army wins. Like the first time people get mad and kick up some dirt, it's going to be all good and well until a fucking drone wipes out your entire family. And then you're like, yeah, I have an AK and a shitload of ammo. AK and a shitload of ammo doesn't matter when a fucking drone shows up at your house in the middle of the night and fucking flattens an entire city block. You do that 4 or 5 times, everybody's just going to go with it. People with power benefit every time everyone's divided, 1,000,000%.
They know it. Companies are already using dynamic wage setting, using algorithms and AI to decide what we should be paid. It's algorithm exploitation.
Absolutely.
Uber pioneered this. Their AI was able to identify which drivers would accept a $3 ride because they're behind on their bills. DoorDash.
That's crazy.
Gotta squeeze them. Gotta get all that money out.
That's
of them.
crazy.
Also uses it. CareRev uses it for healthcare workers.
I have been struggling to pay all my bills on time. When I first moved into this apartment.
Don't you think there would be disobedience in the military when used against civ targets on their own ground? I think to a degree, but I think at the end of the day, when you're staring down the barrel of a gun, you're going to do what you're told. And there's like, what is like civ targets on your own ground, right? Like at what point do you believe that person is a valid combatant? Right? Are you being told by your superiors that they are trying to overthrow the government? Are you being told by your superiors that they're subhuman? Like, are you even fighting people that you even view as human? Let's say civic casualties are bad, and then when it happens, they shrug it off as it never happened. Yeah. Or they'll just be like, they weren't civilians. They were combatants. They were complacent in knowing what was happening here. The goal is 0, but it's never 0. Oh, yeah.
5 years ago, that wasn't an issue at all.
Yep.
I feel ashamed sometimes as a man or as a person that I can't come up with the bills. It's frustrating. I Uber every day.
Exactly. It's bad. Yeah. Happened in France. They literally killed all the rich. Big fat reset. Really. So whenever the wealth and merchant class decided to kill the royalty class, the poor people thought they won. Uh-huh. No, that's definitely not an example of what I just said. Oh, no.
It's funny.
Uh-huh.
Right now, it's Wednesday. I drove around from 7 till 11 and made $20.
$20.
What is stopping Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, or any other company from using this same type of wage setting? They already know our salary. They monitor everything we do on our work computer and
it's illegal. That's why they don't do it. If they could do it, they would do it.
Yep. Because the reality is Amazon laid off 14,000 workers, yet they're still hiring for engineering, sales, and management. Microsoft laid off...
No, I don't think that they're actually hiring. There's like requirements that businesses have that they have to put a listing for a job publicly, even if they're going to hire internally. And I think that's the reason why you're probably seeing a lot of these different jobs being placed, is that they have to do it for some degree of like, compliance. But in a lot of the cases, these jobs aren't real. They're ghost jobs. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're never going to get hired for this business development senior manager job. It doesn't exist. Fred from accounting is getting fired, or sorry, he's getting hired into this. He's known this for 2 years now, and you're sitting there writing out your why I want to be in the job in Microsoft. I've always had Windows, and nobody's even going to read it. An AI is going to read. Nope.
We're 15,000 this year. They're hiring. Intel laid off roughly 22,000 this year, yet they're still hiring.
Because they
Right. Yeah. Like, how are you laying off 22,000 people and you're hiring people? That doesn't make sense, right? Can't even call into jobs anymore. You have no idea what opening you're talking about.
Have to put those listings, but they're not actually hiring.
Corporations lay off people only to hire new employees at a lower salary with less equity and a worse benefits package. If they're already trying to replace us with AI, is it really that big of a stretch to think that they wouldn't lower our salaries by roughly 30% because their AI determines?
They're looking for unicorns. They'll take less money. I think if they got one, they would take it. But at the end of the day, yeah, they're farming resumes, or they're just posting jobs that they're going to do internally. They're not actual jobs for you or I.
Well, they are lowering your salary. They lower your salary every year that they don't give you a wage that accounts for the cost of living.
Yep. That's another one that like really pisses me off when people are like, oh, I didn't get a raise this year, but it's okay. I'm like, no, you're literally making less money than you made last year. Inflation went up and your employer is paying you less money, but they're going to continue to make more money. So you just got fucked.
That's the problem. So even a very high wage, like $20, is actually not sufficient to live in a number of urban areas in the United States now.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact is that you are getting your wage lowered every single year because they're not accounting for that.
If it makes it to human, absolutely.
Also, investors see how many listings there are? Yeah.
Absolutely.
To accept that salary in this economy. They increasingly give us worse salaries, while Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, made $40 million in 2024. His compensation is directly tied to Amazon's stock price.
Yeah, so why wouldn't you want to make Amazon do the best you can if it's going to increase how much money you make? Pay doesn't move, but productivity must go up? Absolutely.
Today, Amazon announced 14,000 layoffs.
The stock price jumped $20 as soon as they announced they were doing a massive layoff. So my man here effectively destroyed a bunch of people's jobs and got a pay raise for it. That's crazy.
I better buy some fucking Amazon stock. Look at that. Holy shit.
Amazon stock jumped 13%. The day UPS announced 48,000 layoffs, their stock price jumped almost 13% as well.
Which is why it's happening.
Absolutely.
It's because everybody knows this is the correct decision for a company to take, even though it's not the human-friendly decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It is the correct decision, financially.
Yeah.
Wall Street
100%.
literally rewards human suffering. And some...
Well, yeah, of course. There's a lot of money you can make off of people being sick.
Some of you may own...
I went into the fucking the oncology place. I felt like I was walking into the Hilton fucking hotel with my dad. He got pancreatic cancer. And I walk in there, I say, oh, there ain't no way they're curing this shit. Yeah, bro, like you got these, these nice wooden walls, like everything, like these mahogany tables, these chairs. Like, yeah, bro, this is not. Yeah, they're not curing cancer. It's not going to happen.
Amazon
It's fucked, but true.
On stock, because actually stock ownership in the U.S. is at a record high. 62% of Americans own stock.
That's a
but
lot.
when we dig deeper, we see that the top 10% own 93% of all stocks. They want us to believe that this is about...
Everybody's got equity in this. 62% of you guys have equity in this. We all make money as long as the stock price goes up. Meanwhile, 90% of that money is going to 10% of the people that own stock.
That's cute. The top 10% own 93% of all stocks.
That's all you need to know right there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
They want us to believe that this is about the future and innovation when they're...
Well, it is for them. Their future, their innovation, not yours.
Some large percentage, 62, is only invested in stocks because of 401k. Yeah. Yeah, you own stocks in so much as like your Fidelity 401k has got you on like some like high risk plan. So you own stocks. But Fidelity is like trading away a lot of these stocks, and you're getting, you're maybe beating like the S&P 500's average if you're lucky. If not, you're actually doing less than the S&P average, and most of that money and wealth is just trickling up anyway. So you own stocks because you're vested through your company. You don't own stocks. You don't own enough stock to matter, right? You're putting in 3%, 4% of your paycheck. It's going to take you 20 years before you actually have enough in there that it starts to compound at a rate that matters. You own stock, but you don't own stock.
Not yours, slave. Go back to your battery station and power my robot that massages my feet. No, I don't want you to do it. The robot has to do it.
Literally just giving us a solution to a problem that they created. They're laying off real human workers today, investing that money into their dream of AI replacing all of us in the future.
Man, she is right about everything, and it doesn't matter.
It's true, though.
The reason why?
It's true.
People are so stupid, they can't even understand this problem. They have no idea. They can't comprehend it. Critical thinking is at an all-time low. People are more uneducated than ever. Nobody knows how to think. Everybody is going to be turned into a battery, and that's just the way it's going to be.
And everybody that is paying attention, yeah, it's just you're fucked. There's nothing you can do. UBI won't solve the coming crisis either. It's not going to solve it, but it's a fucking starting point, right? You're going to have to do something. There's going to be so many people that are displaced, and you're going to have nothing to do with them. And companies are going to continue to make more money, and they're going to continue to get everybody that is not rich fighting with each other about dumb shit that doesn't fucking matter while they continue to have money. UBI is right now the only alternative. Like, I think UBI is probably the only solution that we have that could even be remotely ethical, and it's probably not going to fix it. Because if it was, you would need to have it funded and in place years before you needed it, right? It'd be like Social Security. It's a system that needs to be set up, put in place, and fully funded long before you ever need it. Because like every other problem, if you wait until the problem exists, then you're behind the 8 ball and you're not going to catch up. Not at all. The basic UBI would have people living in worse conditions than they do now for the price of everything going up, keep for the 2% to maintain their 10% wealth. That's what I mean. The only possible way it would work is if you already had things in place. It's okay. I get a mic. Yeah, it's the benefit of me having a mic. I get to talk much faster than you guys get to type. And you can't fund it without taxing the rich. You would not. Yeah, you would absolutely have to. You would have to increase taxes on the people that had the money to pay for it. But that's not going to happen because they're not going to let you tax them. So then you're just going to squeeze the middle even harder. And then you're going to squeeze the middle harder, and you're going to be trying to get blood out of a turnip that doesn't have any fucking blood so you can pay for UBI. But then what happens when everybody gets desperate? I don't know, Thebe. What happens? What happens when an animal can't eat? Nothing good.